I'm thrilled to have everyone here. I know lots of you, and it's really exciting to have a good crowd. And I think there will be more people joining as we go. But let's start with a question. Can you tell us, you might repeat a little bit of it, but tell us a bit about your background, your family, who you grew up with, and your road to the Olympics. But we have 12 questions. So kind of go fast.
Okay, I'll take, let's see, 30 some years and I'll compile it into 3 sentences.
Okay, take as much time as you need, but anyway.
No, I gotcha. So I actually was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm one of 5 siblings. I am the second oldest, the first girl. And honestly, growing up, my parents just exposed us to a lot of different sports. Ironically, when I was about middle school age, I remember watching, I think it was the 2000 Olympics. Yes, 2000 Olympics, where Michael Phelps made his first debut, and they talked about how young he was. And that, watching him and hearing those words, I had actually thought I wonder if I could do anything like that one day. And so kind of fast forward to high school, I was introduced to rowing. And however, my main sport was basketball. I thought, basketball was kind of my way into just a bigger career. So when rowing came into the picture, we knew nothing about it. And I was kind of told by one of the girls on the team, you're really tall and you're really strong. You would be so good. And so I went back home and I talked to my parents about it. And the way that I convinced my dad was, Dad, this is going to get me so much stronger for basketball. I think it's a perfect conditioning in the off season. Well, lo and behold, fast forward a little bit more, about 4 years, and I am going to the University of Notre Dame for the rowing team. So ironically, I started using basketball in the off season for rowing to condition because I just fell in love with the sport. It is completely team oriented. You're only as strong as your weakest link in the boat. And I say that because it just takes such a unified effort to really strive to being the best technically, to matching each other, and to really going as hard as you can and giving your all for not only that first place, but for your teammate in the boat as well. So it definitely stuck with me. I don't know, a culmination of about 15 years from start to finish until I made the 2016 Olympics. However, at the University of Notre Dame, I was on their varsity team, and we got the first NCAA team bid ever in history and ranked 9th while I was there, which was a huge accomplishment for the program and such an exciting moment in history of the rowing program. And honestly, my fuel and my inspiration to wanting to go to Notre Dame was to lift up the rowing team and obviously get a really great education. I don't want to put that down, but it was just fantastic because I felt like it was a challenge. They were seen as the underdog when I was coming in. Not too many people, had them on their radar in the rowing world. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to come in and lift them up. And in doing so, I had just an amazing recruited class with me that all had the same idea, that they wanted to come in and bring the program up. So again, just that community of just sisterhood and having that common goal was just huge for me, just to continue to accelerate. So then I fast forward to national team. I made the under 23 national team, which I just had graduated from Notre Dame. And we went to Germany, and I won my first international gold there. So while I was there, I just thought, you know what, this is what I really want to do. I want to pursue this a little further, just an experience to travel to all these different countries for competitions, and to be even competing among the best in other countries was just such an honor and privilege that I didn't realize how exciting and how elite it really was. I just was in it, and I was passionate, and I was just taking it day by day and thinking okay, what's the next goal for this rowing, the rowing race or whatever was coming up next. So 2012, so from 2008 to 2012, I competed on the national team. I made 3 national teams and got golds in 2 of those national teams in the women's 8, and then actually also broke a world record in the women's 8 right before London Games. Now you're probably thinking like, okay, so hold on a second. You said you won gold in 2016. This is correct. In 2012, I was challenged, and the most challenged of all of the athletes in the group, and I just missed each boat by 0.1 seconds. Not 1 second, 0.1 second. So I went to London as an alternate. I supported my team while I was there, and honestly, I think that moment just really created a new level for myself, because I'm not one to sit the sidelines very well, which is why I think I went from basketball to rowing. I wanted to be in on the action the whole time. So the fact that I was sitting the sidelines just didn't sit well with me. So I decided to come back. I decided to do things differently. And in doing so, 2016, the Olympic gold in Rio in the women's 8. Was that like short enough?
There's so much to tell. It's exciting. So can you talk a little bit about the unique pressures that an elite athlete experiences? Just a little, all of us experience pressure in different ways in our lives, but I think an athlete puts a lot of pressure on themselves and their body, and when the world's watching. So tell a little bit about that.
I would love to. So I am definitely the hardest person on myself. There's no and ifs or but about it. And I have had a great support system, my husband, my family, who have always been able to just give me the perspective of, okay, so what's the reason why you're being so hard on yourself? Like, how is this going to help you with the next goal? And changing that perspective, because it can be a day where, when you're in that elite level and when you're competing every day for a seat, for being ranked, being tested, like it all accumulates and every test counts. So if you have a bad test, it can put more stress on you. However, you can decide whether or not you want that test to continue your downfall, or you learn from it and you grow from it and you make a difference, make a change so that it doesn't happen again. And I think that's the biggest way we can use our pressures is, okay, what can I learn from this? Did I fail? Am I considering this a failure? I would consider it more a learning experience, because failure means you're done, you quit. And so that's at least my definition. And especially from 2012, when I did have those moments where I was like 0.1, like that's not even a blink of an eye, 0.1. It just made me realize that I needed to change a few of my strategies internally first, so that I could be better at what I was doing, but also lift others up around me and support others, my other teammates also. So those are just the little pressures that we can kind of just making that decision of, am I going to make this my changing point, or am I going to let it kind of help me, with the downfall? So those are very important points that, if you can identify, you're already giving yourself some grace and some identification that, okay, this is okay to feel this way, but what am I going to do about it? And making that decision is just very important.
So I'm going to jump ahead. I sent Amanda a list of questions, so she
Sure.
knows some, but I'm going to jump ahead because this kind of ties into mental health is another common concern for athletes of all ages. Can you speak to strategies for supporting athletes' mental game as well as their physical game? And I was going to go into nutrition earlier, but maybe tie that in. But however that question fits for you, because you're kind of leading into that right now. Lots of the concept of sports, a lot of it is a mental game. So
yes, absolutely. It's mental, it's physical, it's emotional, it's even spiritual for some. And what the best advice I can give for the importance of mental health as well as physical health is balance. Too much of one way or another is just not a healthy balance, so that you can continue to focus and realize, what is the goal ahead, focusing on the goal. With that certainly is a nutrition piece, because I think that if you don't feel well, you're not going to want to perform. It's going to come out naturally that, you may not be on your game that day. And so preparing in ways and recovering in ways nutritionally alone are just very important, because then it's setting yourself up for more success. So for instance, one of the lessons that I learned was the importance of protein. And just giving you an idea, rowers, we ate 4,000 to 6,000 calories a day. Like, calories is what we were highlighting. It's like, it didn't really matter sometimes where it came from. You just needed to get the calories. And this really helps with a lot of, the conditioning, the performance, just being able to prevention of injury, huge with that. Because as soon as you make yourself a little bit vulnerable and putting yourself in a position where injury could be a possibility, that's also going to affect your mental health. So it's all connected. And one of the great strategies that I had for myself, especially going from the 2012 to the 2016 Olympics, was I actually found a creative outlet. What I noticed is I was obsessing, and I really do mean that, obsessing about every practice, what I did technically, the numbers I put and the mileage I put on the indoor rowing machine or out in the water, connecting with my teammate or teammates, depending what size boat I was in, just constantly thinking. It was always on my mind. Okay, what can I do better? What can I do? I got to the point where I just felt so overstimulated that I wasn't performing. I started to drop off. I started to not feel like myself. I started to kind of feel like I was less energetic, which you guys can see. I'm very energetic. But my point is that I kind of let that consume me to the point where rowing was taking over. Even though I was trying to support myself with it, I needed something else. So I actually found out that painting was a great outlet for myself. I just sat in between, whether it was in between rowing sessions or practices, or even on the weekends when rowing was, we were in between, again, sessions, because we did row on the weekends as well. I just painted for, hours, and it just helps to get my mind off of rowing. It helped to just get my mind focused on something different. And in doing so, it actually helped me with going back to practice and refresh and revitalize like what my purpose there. So almost like compartmentalizing, I would say, to just summarize all that, was just a very, very helpful tool that I learned. And in doing so, I actually have some fun paintings that I did and kept on my wall in my house during my training. So it's kind of fun little stories that I tell my kids now, like, mommy was painting this when she just finished a test and she needed an outlet.
Awesome. So has nutrition always been a focus of was that integrated into your training from the beginning, or did you grow up in a family that cared about what you ate? How'd your approach to nutrition and then, even, of course, we know that you use Shackley products. How did that all come about?
Sure, that's a great question. So growing up, I'm half Italian, so we definitely embrace the Italian heritage very much. Lots of pasta, lots of meatballs. And I do give all of that, lots of milk, yogurt. I would say that we had a pretty well-rounded, again, balanced diet. And then going forward, when I did start to get into sports more, I just watched to make sure that I had more calories, like making sure I had enough. What I didn't realize, and wasn't really highlighted until I actually met my husband, but he was then fiance, was the importance of protein. and how much protein that you're getting. And in doing so, even with the amount of protein, especially at that elite level, I incorporated protein shakes within 30 minutes right after a post practice. So whether it was a morning session, I had the protein shake ready, stretching, whatever I was kind of, relaxing or just going over, bringing down my energy from the actual practice. I was actually refueling and recovering so that I could get ready for the next one while I was doing that. So I had like 2 protein shakes a day, about 20 to 30 grams of protein right after. And then honestly, I noticed the effect of my energy because my level of performance went up. And I was using the protein shakes for about, I want to say about a year. And ironically, a very similar pattern happened, or opportunity happened, where I was being tested again in a very similar way to 2012 to make the women's 8. And this time I just felt so ready. I felt so mentally prepared, and I felt like I was going to attack it versus kind of my original 2012 was like, why is this happening to me? Kind of a victim is how I played. And it was just a complete turnaround. I felt that I had more confidence. I felt stronger, inside and out, having that balance. So many different things that led up to that importance of that moment and making, the women's 8. So I would definitely say that highlighting the protein, and now being a mom, I have even more so started to just track kind of what my kids are getting, again with the balance, but also making sure that protein is so important for their brain development and their overall development, especially at a young age, which I didn't realize. I knew protein was, good for you. And I'm like, I think there's a misconception for those who may not know a lot about health and wellness, that protein is just there to build muscle. And it's like, no, we use it in so many other ways. And my husband, he's a sports performance consultant. So this is like right up his alley. And I've been learning so much with him. And even when the kids were born, I was like, why so much protein? And he told me, he was like, this just helps development. It's not just about muscle. Cause I joke, everyone's like, oh, are you trying to get your kids, like really muscular? And he's like, no, I just want them to be healthy. I want to make sure that they have all the muscular movements, making sure that their brains are working correctly. Like protein is so much more powerful than I knew when I was training now. And I was introduced in Shackley in 2016. A few of my teammates actually shared with me their experience because they were with Shackley at the time. And so I decided in 2016 that I wanted to join and give it a try. Right after the Olympics, I thought I would continue to train and started using more Shackley products and the sports performance line. And then once I got pregnant with my first, I thought, okay, I guess my training is probably done. I think it's time to retire. So in doing so, the aha moment for me was, oh my gosh, this isn't about me anymore. Now I really need to take note about what I'm giving this child and taking it through me, when I was pregnant, when I was nursing. And then also, as they develop now, as my 5-year-old, 4-year-old, and 1.5-year-old are out energizing me right now. And I will not let that happen.
Very good. Can you speak to unique nutritional challenges for female athletes?
Oh, absolutely. So when I was training, iron was very, very important. Typically with just a sport, any women, iron, I would say, is very important just for bone and health and energy, like so many good things that we tend to break down first as women. And so replenishing that and making sure we have enough of it. And, I have a background in my family of anemia. And so that was important for me to know, so that I did stay, on top of my iron intake, whether if it was whole foods or a supplement or, a vitamin of some sort. And then also, ironically, vitamin D for the rowing team was a very low I guess, count, which was surprising to all of us because we spent so many hours out in the sun and we thought we'd be absorbing enough. However, it turns out that we needed to intake it a little bit more. So, just getting it externally wasn't enough, so that we did have to make sure that that vitamin D was very important. And again, a lot of the similar benefits that the iron. So those two really went hand in hand for at least our rowing team. It was like making sure you were getting enough iron and making sure you were getting enough vitamin D.
Okay. Sports injuries are a common concern for all types of athletes. What role can proper nutrition play in preventing that?
Excuse me. Yes. Oh my gosh. That is a huge injury prevention tool for sure. And I don't think a lot of athletes think about it though. They don't, at least I'll just speak on behalf of myself. I definitely did not consider when I got injured, was I intaking enough calories? However, there was a couple instances, and one instance in particular that I actually used to strive for this goal of being a specific weight. And that weight that I was at was the ideal weight that I thought and the coach thought would be perfect for me to be able to support my own body weight and also my teammates in being strong enough to handle that. Well, I can definitely tell you that I've been injured in that cycle so much more because I was at a lower weight than I should have been for my strength. Let's just put it that way. Come 2012, after 2012, the coach and I had a different discussion and actually decided to have 10 more pounds than I was used to. And in doing so, my injury prevention just decreased immensely. It was just night and day, like I was kind of struggling with, okay, keeping energy, but like, oh, my rib hurts when I was going for the lower weight class, if you will. And then when I had that extra couple pounds, that really made a difference on even just my like endurance alone. I was able to last longer. I was able to be stronger for longer. And my ribs, my back, my hips, they just were healthier and they could handle all of it. And whether it was muscle or fat or whatever it was, I'm not even sure, but just that little change in that weight was a huge help for me from the 2012 cycle to the 2016 cycle.
Wow, that's really interesting because I think so many young females spend a lot of time worrying about their weight, and what a powerful message. I'm looking at the time and know that we need to just kind of be mindful of that. Question, what advice do you have for parents and coaches as they support young athletes?
I would definitely give the advice of just creating balance. Allowing your athlete, if they have a bad day, to feel, yes, maybe it wasn't your best, but also kind of giving them that support that they need. And all right, now let's turn this around. There's tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to do better. And doing little things that can maybe help add up to larger goals. Focusing on, I used to have this little notepad or little note card in college, and it was like, drink eight glasses of water like a day. Stretch when you're not in class. It was just the little things outside of the actual practice that helped me to prepare, that helped me to recover. And it just helped my mindset so much more.
Okay. What are your favorite go-to products of Shaklee products to ensure you're getting the right nutrition to fuel your body now? Or, just what were your favorite products that you have used?
Absolutely. So the Women Vitalizer, I give a huge bonus to, accreditation to, because I use that as my pre and postnatal for 6 years. And recently I just kind of transitioned to the Life Strip, with the Vivix. And so I'm very happy already with my experience on that. Definitely some sort of multivitamin in my household is important. We have Meology Kids and Incredivites for my kids, just, to kind of depending on their mood, we kind of like to switch it up a little bit, because also the Incredibites does have the iron in there. And so those are important. Life Shake, we have those. I have my Life Shake with me now as my lunch, because sometimes as a busy mom, I'm just thinking, you know what, I don't want to make another meal for myself. And I know that this is giving me everything that I need to keep going and to not dirty another dish. So, hey, praise on that. I also love the skincare products. I mean, the skincare products are just amazing. They make me feel pampered. I've had so many great, testimonies of just even the new Body Trio. My scar actually right under here has lightened since using that regimen. I'm not sure if you can see it, but, and then Triple Defense Boost. I absolutely love it with little kids. I have it daily. And I am kicking myself because I ran out this month and I just put another order in yesterday, and I was like, whoo, this is the close one. But I'm like, oh no, because my little ones are running around with colds, and I'm like, no, you won't get me. You won't get me. Wait till my Triple Defense Boost comes back. So those are really, really big in our family. The multivitamins, for sure, some type of multivitamin regimen. The protein, my husband loves the whey protein. He uses that, whether it's like he makes his own smoothie with it, or it's a really great recovery drink. And honestly, the kids love the flavors as well. And we just kind of give them half a serving versus the whole serving, just to make sure that they are getting, just the right amount for them per meal. Let's see. I mean, I could go on about this, Carolyn. I'll keep it at that. I feel like I gave you some really strong ones there.
Very good. All right. We jumped around on our list of questions, but I think we got through a whole lot of the topic. Just saw a note from Amanda that she would show us the gold medal, and if we want, we can take a picture. People can get ready to take a picture of us.
Okay, so here is the case for it. It's actually from a tree from Rio. I thought that was a really cool fact. And then I'm going to take it out in hopes that it will not drop. Here you go.
Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I'm taking a picture just a sec. Smile, everybody. Thank you. How big is it compared to your hand?
Well, and keep in mind, I have a big hand. So it's about the size of my palm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty big, and it's over a pound. It's about almost a pound and a half, which, fun story, when they were putting the medal on our necks, each one of my teammates and I, we just kind of like jerked our necks. And we're like, oh, wow, that's heavy. We did not train our necks for this moment. So lesson learned, next time, make sure the neck muscles are good if you're going after a big gold.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day and a great weekend.